Dear students, welcome to the MOOC course on Solid and Hazardous Waste Management. Today in this module, we will be discussing about the recent advances in solid waste management. This is the last module of the MOOC course. Now, in this module, we will be discussing about the various advancements that have come or evolved in the solid waste management in terms of waste collection, recycling, material recycling, then the various technologies that has evolved at global as well as Indian level. The various changes or the revampment that has occurred in the Indian legislation or rules will also be discussed in this module. Now, with this introduction, now let us get into the learning objectives of this module. The learning objective of this module is to study the recent advancements that has occurred in the field of solid waste management in recent times at the global as well as the Indian level. Now, let us start off with what are the advancements that has occurred in waste collection. Now, you all know waste collection is done manually in the developed and developing countries. Manually in the sense it involves a lot of labor, and vehicle wise maybe it can be done manually or automated mechanized vehicles are used. Now, here the manual waste handling now has been replaced with automated systems. Now, automated systems involve one, the vacuum waste collection system, the other one is underground container system. The advantage of these systems is that they do not require any manual handling during emptying. Now, the vacuum waste collection system is fully automated and they generally reduce the need for transport. Two types of vacuum collection systems are involved. One is the stationary collection system and the other one is mobile collection system. Now, the stationary vacuum waste collection system is a system where the waste is collected pneumatically in an automated vacuum system. Further, they will be transported through underground tubes from the refuse chutes to a large container which is generally located in a terminal. Now, from there the containers will be lifted by a hook loader vehicle. The mobile vacuum waste collection system on the other hand uses air to collect the waste. Here the storage tank will be positioned below or under each refuse chute. The tanks will be further connected to a docking point. Now, this docking point is a place where the collection vehicles will come and then collect them. Now, in the docking point, the waste will be collected through an underground system of tubes. Now, the second type of advancement in waste collection, as I told you earlier, it is the underground container system. Now, they are fast growing collection system and they are more commonly used especially in the developed world like the European countries. Here especially Sweden follows the underground container system. It is fast growing and they are generally placed underground. Since they are placed underground, they reduce the need for space at the street level. If you remember, all the dustbins or the storage bins for collecting the waste are generally placed on the curbsides, alleys and the parkways. Now, since the containers are placed underground, they will save the space at the street level. Now, also the temperature that is present underground is comparatively lower than the outside environment. It will also prevent the generation of odor. The containers will be then emptied using a vehicle with a loader crane. Now, the underground containers, since they hold large volume, the number of trips can also be reduced, which is not the case in storage bins which are placed in the curbside, alleys or parkways. The second advancement that you can see in recent times are the recycling centers. Recycling centers are very popular and they are established to collect the bulky waste. Again, Sweden is one of the example of such recycling centers, though it is also being popular in other developed and even the developing countries have started establishing these recycling centers. Now, this recycling centers can be unmanned or manned. Manned means person will be involved in collecting the material, and unmanned is all automated. When you talk about the unmanned recycling center, what happens is the households, the person from the residential area can leave their waste and they have to do it on their own. So, the people bringing in the waste to the unmanned recycling center must have a driving license, and they should also have completed a short-term training program in sorting. In addition to these recycling centers, you also have certain mobile recycling centers. Now, these mobile recycling centers have become very popular, especially in terms of collection of hazardous waste and some bulky waste and WEEE. WEEE is a waste, electrical and electronic waste. Now, these mobile centers, they visit a number of permanent collection points and as per this schedule, and they collect the waste from these permanent collection points and bring it for further processing. Now, in some of the European countries, you have large electronic shops. Now, they have made it as a rule that these large electronic shops should collect all types of consumer electronics which are smaller than 25 centimeter, even if the consumer does not buy anything from the shop. That means, if you are not, even if you are not buying anything, you can give these electronic items which are less than 25 centimeter to large electronic shops. For small shops, they have followed a principle like 1 for 1 principle, which means that if you buy a product, you will have an option for returning in equivalent one old product at that shop. Now, it is like an exchange policy. The collected products will be further submitted free of charge to an approved recycling collection system. Likewise, the companies that produce battery, they are responsible for the collection, treatment and recycling of all these batteries regardless of when they appeared on the market. It is not necessary like whether you have bought the battery today or it was manufactured 10 years before or 20 years before or 30 years before, that does not matter. Whatever be the time of manufacturing, if you give the battery to the company people or the producers, they have to take it for recycling. Similarly, for tires also, tire manufacturing units should collect back or take back the tires and then put it for recycling. Another advancement that has come is the material recycling. The material recycling generally plays an important role in the sustainable development of a society. It means that the separated materials can replace other production materials or construction materials. Now, what will happen by doing so is it will reduce the consumption of virgin material, I mean the new resources consumption will be reduced. Also, it will lead to saving energy. Now, many developed countries collect these packaging material and paper through manned and unmanned recycling stations that are generally owned by the producer. That means, the manufacturers should have these recycling stations, and it can be, again as I told you earlier, it can be manned or unmanned. Also, certain municipalities have started introducing the curbside collection of packaging and newspapers. On the curbside, you can have certain collection units where everyday packaging material or newspapers can be handed over to these municipalities so that they can be taken for further recycling. So, this again becomes part of your material recycling. Also, many developed countries, they have used optical sorting system. Now, optical sorting system is one of the recent system where you use infrared radiations to sort out the materials, especially this is used for polymers. Now, they have incorporated these optical sorting system for sorting the waste collected in different color coded bags. Now, various reports suggest that the volume of waste that is submitted to any of these municipal recycling centers are continuously increasing. That means, people have taken it as a positive approach and then they are continuously giving up the material for proper recycling. So, if this is the case, then the problem of waste being dumped into an open area can be reduced. Now, under material recycling, construction waste can also be used. Now, generally construction waste can be brought to a common point, refined, and then they can be reused. If the material is made up of different constituents, then they can be generally subjected for energy recovery option. Likewise, when you talk about these scrap metals means when these cars and all are, when they are crushed, they result in scrap material. Now, these scrap materials can be inspected, sorted, and can be reused. Now, based on the nature of metal, they can be fragmented and used for the production of new products at the steel and metal works. Now, this is also applicable for wood. Wood, again, it can be a pure wood, painted wood, or pressure impregnated woods. Now, the untreated wood, what you can do is you can just shred it and then use it in the manufacturing of a chipboard, or you can burn it or use it as a biofuel. Now, painted and pressure impregnated woods are generally processed in special incineration plants for the destruction of hazardous waste material that is present in this painted or pressure impregnated woods. Then later from this energy is trapped and then converted into electricity. Now, plastics and glass can also be recycled as part of your material recycling. Now, plastics and glass can undergo a number of multiple recycling, but that depends upon the constituent of material which is present there. If the polymer or the glass is pure, I mean not contaminated, then you can subject them to multiple recycling. Example is your PET, PET bottles, PET polymers, PET polymers, PE, polyethylene, HDPE, high density polyethylene. These polymers can be easily recycled, but these packaging materials are difficult. Now, if you see among the plastics, packaging materials are more when you compare to these materials like your PET, PE, HDPE. Now, their recycling is very easy. Now, plastic pollution is generally created by the packing materials. So, packing materials are difficult to be recycled. Now, same is the case for textiles, where only they are collected and sorted for reuse. The other treatment is just under research phase. Now, when these packaging materials cannot be recycled, you should find an alternate option. So, with this plastic pollution becoming a great menace in the recent times, a scientist have found a way of using these plastics in constructing roads. The plastic waste items can be used for road construction, including your plastic carry bags, plastic cups, packaging materials which where these potato chips, biscuits and chocolates, these wrappers which come around this can all be used for constructing your roads. For the construction of roads, what has to be done is the plastic should be shredded and then added to an aggregate mixture. Now, this aggregate mixture consists of stone and other materials, and it is generally, the aggregate mixture is preheated at 165 degrees Celsius. Then the mixing of the plastic with this aggregate material is done in a mixing chamber for around 30 to 60 seconds till a oily layer gets coated on the plastic material. Subsequently, what you do is bitumen is heated at 160 degrees Celsius and they will be mixed with the plastic aggregate mixture. Further, this mixture will be taken and then used for road laying using a bulldozer. Now, if you approximately if you see 1 kg of stone plus 50 grams of bitumen is used with 1/10 of plastic waste for road construction. Now, the advantage of using plastics in road construction is one, they are very easy. First thing is like the packaging material which is not or which is creating a lot of mess and which cannot be recycled can be used here. So, as a result the plastic pollution can be reduced. Then it is very easy, you do not need any machinery, it improves the quality of flexibility of roads. Further, they also decrease the wear and tear of roads. The plastic waste again increases the strength of the road and reduces the road fatigue. The roads become more resistant towards rain, water and cold weather conditions. Further, the same scientists have also used plastic in making a block. It's called as a plastone block. A plastone block is generally made of a mixture of waste, plastic and stone. Now, it has been found to withstand a great pressure, and also it resists water percolation. Now, around 300 plastic bags and 6 PET bottles can be used to make one plastone block. Now, this is one aspect how plastics are used for road construction. Other way by which the packaging material or plastic pollution can be reduced is using them for generating fuel. The plastic which is collected or the packaging material which is collected will be converted into the value added products at a temperature of 350 degrees Celsius when they are subjected to pyrolysis. Now, what is pyrolysis? Pyrolysis is a process which is done in the absence of oxygen and inert condition at a temperature of 350 to 650 or 850 degree Celsius. Now, during this process what happens is it produces 3 different products like solid, liquid and gaseous product. For solid, coke is produced, and for liquid, gasoline, diesel, kerosene and lube oil is produced, and the gaseous fuel is produced. Now, these liquid material that are produced are separated by fractional distillation. Now, generally the advantage of the liquid fuel that is generated by pyrolyzing the plastic is that it contains very less amount of sulfur, that is around 0.002 milligram per liter, which is more advantageous when compared to other fuel, because diesel contains more amount of sulfur. You all know when there is more amount of sulfur during combustion, sulfur dioxide gases will be released, causing air pollution. Also they say for cracking the polymers, I mean the plastic polymers, you need certain catalyst. Again, catalytic cracking is also done for the production of fuel from the plastics. Researchers from Swansea University have identified a way to generate hydrogen fuel from the plastic waste. Here they use a light absorbing photocatalyst which has the potential to absorb sunlight and transfer it into a chemical energy by a process termed as photoreforming. Now, this catalyst will be added to the plastics and exposed to sunlight under alkaline condition. At this condition, the material will get broken down and it will generate a lot of bubbles of hydrogen gas. Now, this is still under the research phase. They are just trying out to produce hydrogen. The other advancement that has come in the field of solid waste management to have or handle the waste properly is the extended producer responsibility, in short called as EPR. Now, it is a strategy that is used by many of the industrialized nations to promote reuse, recycling and environment friendly disposal option for waste. Now, the extended producer responsibility generally assigns responsibility of disposal of the waste to the manufacturer of the goods. Here the government is not involved, the manufacturer is held responsible for proper disposal of the waste that he generates. Now, again it ensures a closed loop approach where the waste that is generated from the product must be used to produce another product. This is again an added advantage of EPR. Now, the extended producer responsibility also ensures that the price of the product includes the cost of disposal. I mean, whatever the cost that the company or the manufacturer would spend on the disposal of these materials will be included in the price of the product. Also, this extended producer responsibility protects the environment from much of impact, and also the cost of production of new product will also be reduced. Now, example is the packaging material which is used in food or consumer goods should be disposed of by the manufacturer. If the manufacturer is producing 100 tons of packaging material, then he should be responsible for disposal of this 100 tons of waste. Another feature of this extended producer responsibility is producer responsibility organization termed as PRO. A producer responsibility organization is paid by the manufacturer for collection and safe disposal of waste. Now, when a manufacturer takes the responsibility for the recycling of their own products, they should use environmentally safer materials in the production process. Also, they should consume fewer materials in the production process. This will recover or this will reduce the use of new virgin resources. Then they also should design the product in such a way that it lasts longer and that should be more useful on a longer scale. Further, you should create a safer recycling system. Also, they motivate to keep the waste cost down. Now, no longer the government or the taxpayer is responsible for the cost of disposal. Now, the PRO ensures that the cost of disposal is borne by the manufacturer. What are the changes or the advancements that have come in the legislation of solid waste management with respect to the Indian rules? Now, in the previous module we have discussed about a number of waste management rules. If you see, all the older waste management rules have been revamped with new rules in the year 2016. Like your solid waste management rules 2016, hazardous waste rules 2016, plastic waste rules, e-waste rules, construction and demolition rules, biomedical rules, all have been revamped and new rules have been framed in the year 2016. So, let us look into the salient features of each of these rules or what are the changes they have actually brought into. When you talk about the solid waste management rules, here the jurisdiction of the rule has been increased. The previous rule spoke only about the municipality, now it has been extended to the urban area, rural area, agglomerates and everything. Then it also talks about the segregation of waste at the source. They give importance to the collection and disposal of sanitary waste, establishment of collect back schemes for packaging waste, which we discussed in under material recycling in the previous slides. Then laying down user fees for collection, and they also suggest that no throwing, burning or burying of waste should be done in an open area or in streets. Then they also talk about setting up of sanitary landfills and other waste processing units. The rule also give importance to use of compost and the energy that is derived from the RDF as a fuel, especially for the industries. Also, they want to bring in the informal sector like integration of rag pickers, kabadiwalas and self-help groups in the waste collection system. They want a proper registration. Now, the hazardous and other waste management and transboundary movement rules 2016 talks about the inclusion of other waste. Previously, other waste was not included. Now, the term other waste is included in this rule. Also, they talk about the waste management hierarchy and co-processing, which is introduced in the rule. Now, all other forms have been revised significantly. The Biomedical Waste Management Rules 2016 has been expanded to include vaccination camps, blood donation camps, surgical camps and other healthcare activities. Also, they have suggested to phase out the use of chlorinated plastic bags, gloves and blood bags within 2 years' time. They have suggested pre-treatment of biomedical waste like the microbiology waste, blood waste and things like that. Also, they have ensured to provide training and immunization to all healthcare workers. Further, they have also suggested to establish a barcode system for the bags or containers that had been used for disposal of biomedical waste. In the previous rule, the biomedical waste was classified into 10 categories. Now, they have reduced it into 4 categories. No occupier shall establish on-site treatment and disposal facility if there is a common biomedical facility available within 75 kilometer distance. Now, the plastic waste management rule signifies that the plastics that are produced should be of a minimum thickness of 50 microns and it should not be less than this. This is generally to promote or facilitate proper recycling. It also talks about the usage of plastics in road construction as per the Indian Road Congress guidelines. And also they suggest energy recovery from plastics in the form of waste oil. Likewise, the e-waste management rule 2016 talks about the involvement of manufacturer, dealer, refurbisher and Producer Responsibility Organization, the PRO, to be introduced as an additional stakeholder in the rule. Also, the applicability of the rules have been extended to the components, consumable, spares and parts of EEE in addition to the equipments which are listed in the Schedule 1. They also talk about the compact fluorescent bulb, I mean the CFL, and other mercury containing lamps which are included or which are brought in under the purview of these rules. Collection mechanism based approach have been adopted to include collection center, collection point, take back systems for e-waste by producers under extended producer responsibility. The e-waste rule 2016 also talks about reducing the use of hazardous waste materials in the electronic goods. One of the biggest advancement in terms of solid waste management that has been done in India is the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan or the Clean India Mission. Now, this Swachh Bharat Abhiyan you must have studied in our previous modules. It is a nationwide campaign in India which aims to clean the streets, roads and various infrastructures of the Indian city, town and rural area. Now, this mission has two thrust area. One is Swachh Bharat Abhiyan Gramin or rural, which focuses on the rural region, and it comes under the Ministry of Drinking Water and Sanitation. Now, they focus on the sanitation aspect and control of open defecation in the rural areas. Also, they focus on the solid and liquid waste management. The other thrust area is the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan Urban, which comes under the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. This again deals with the solid and liquid waste that is generated in the urban areas. To summarize, at the end of this module, we have discussed about the various advancements in the field of solid waste management with respect to waste collection, where we discussed about the vacuum collection system and the underground container system. Then we discussed about the establishment of recycling centers, which is operated with manned and unmanned recycling centers, which involves in the collection of various materials for recycling. Then we started discussing about the material recycling, where we discussed about the construction waste, then we discussed about the wood waste and other plastic, paper waste. With respect to plastic, how the pure form of plastics can be recycled multiple times, even glass can be recycled multiple times depending upon the purity. The packaging material, which becomes a major chunk of the plastic waste, cannot be recycled. Now, then we discussed like what are the methods which are or technologies which have come in recent times to focus on the packaging material, where we discussed about the use of plastic in road laying and the use of plastic for fuel production. Then we discussed about the extended producer responsibility, how the manufacturers are laid responsible for collection and disposal of the material which they are selling to the consumers. Then we discussed about the advancements in the various waste handling rules with respect to Indian scenario, and lastly we also had a small gist about the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, which is with respect to India. So far we have discussed a few of the advancements which have come in the global as well as the Indian level, but still there are many technologies which are coming in recent times. I advise you to go to the library or search in the internet and find out more innovative technologies which have come in recent times. I hope you would have enjoyed this module and it would have been of help to you. Thank you.